Hi, everyone. Welcome to Rare Book Cafe. Today, we're going to talk about what we did at the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair, some books that we bought, some things that we did. Richard?
And we're going to have a little special treat on codes and ciphers and some other special things we bought. I'm excited to show, and I got a big surprise to show everybody.
Well, we'll look forward to that. So stay tuned, everybody. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Rare Book Cafe, the Coffee Break Edition. I'm Linn from the Ridge Books in Calhoun, Georgia, joined today by my co-host, Richard. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Lee. In sunny Florida, it's 46 degrees here this morning, but it's warming up fast.
Good.
And it's going to be in the 80s today.
Have you recovered yet from the
Um,
Florida Antiquarian Book Fair?
I think just barely. I did manage to get a golf game in last week, but I've actually had a busy week prepping myself to get ready to go north. I boxed up 500 pounds of books last week, and next week I'm going to take them to a shipping company up in Ocala and ship them north.
Wow, you've had quite a busy winter.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about the Florida Fair. Um, it was a great trip. I love to see everybody. In spite of some problems at the Coliseum when the pipes broke and we had no bathrooms. And
Yes, that was a new one.
Sarah Smith, with her normal calmness and grace, managed to talk the city into giving us access to the senior citizens' bathrooms across the street, and we survived. We survived. How was the fair for you?
It was a good fair. I was real pleased. Like Saturday was just jam packed. That I don't think I've ever seen that floor so busy all day long. And it just kept going, coming in wave after wave. And you had did
A lot of people, a lot of people. My sales were not as good as I would have liked. The expensive books I took with me,
came
including a
home.
couple, yeah, it did not sell, including a couple of really nice signed Langston Hughes first editions.
Hmm.
But they're now being featured on my website. And these things happen. You don't ever know from one
Yeah.
show to the next how things are going to be. But
And
but attendance was very good, very good.
and you never know what the after sales are going to be. I had a call
No,
this. Actually, I got an email last week, and this frantic young lady wrote me and said, "I don't know why I didn't buy your poster on from by Michael Haig. I just am so distraught," she said, "over not having bought it." So I we made an arrangement, and on Monday we delivered it to her, and she was very happy.
yeah.
So after sales are
Yeah,
are
you don't, and the contacts that you make are important regardless of whether you sell them anything or not.
right.
And the hospitality was great. We had a lovely reception on Friday night with lots of shrimp, and
Oh,
uh,
the shrimp was good.
it was a good trip. The weather was
Yeah.
gorgeous, just
Oh,
gorgeous.
it's
The
actually
yeah.
probably the best weather we had all winter down here.
Well, and it's also, we've had a lot of rain for the fair in the last few years.
Yeah,
So it was really nice to have that nice weather. And I
yeah.
understand you've got some things this morning to show us. Are
I
these things you
do.
bought?
Well, I did buy. I don't know. I just have this habit
I
of
know it's a
acquiring.
terrible. I
So
know.
I did my usual buy with my one of my favorite booksellers, who's from Ohio. I'm going to see him in a couple weeks up at Akron again, but I usually buy a whole bunch from him because he kind of restocks a lot of my general merchandise inventory, and he was loaded this year, and I overspent. I don't know why, but I did. But I have had some other little finds, and it's not always the big book we're looking for. I like the unusual, and the
Right.
things that I'm not used to seeing. They don't necessarily um, return me huge profits per se, but I think part of what people like, I hope, in my booth is that I am kind of eclectic and I have things that they don't see other places. So we'll start off with the one book. I think we've seen this one before. Do you remember this?
Well, it's a Margaret Armstrong cover, isn't it?
Yes. Well, do you remember when we interviewed, is it Sylvia?
Sandy? Yeah.
Sandy, yes,
Yeah.
Sandy. So, and I said to her, I'd like to buy that book.
Right.
Well, here it is in my possession. It and she had saved it for me, and I bought it, and now it's going to be in my inventory
Good.
with my.
Well,
So
the old joke about the booksellers on the deserted island, and at the end of the year, everybody shows a profit because they've all bought each other's books. Yeah.
yes,
A lot of times I think we feel like that at book fairs because we're so
yeah,
busy visiting everybody else's booth.
yeah. Well, I didn't even get to visit your booth hardly at all.
Well,
I mean,
and
just to walk by quickly. So here's a sweet little children's piece I found. Something I hadn't seen before. It's called Polly Through the Air, and it by I think it's Carlisle Emery. There's a little rubbing on the cover, but I think it's Carlisle Emery. An unusual little piece. Again, not valuable, but I think rather unique and special. And it attracts my attention. I'm hoping it attracts some customers. Um, and then here's one I've not seen before: Codes and Ciphers. And of course, today, codes and enigmas kind of stuff. This people just loving this kind of stuff, and I thought this was a sweet little piece. Hadn't seen it before in the dust wrapper. It apparently is scarce. I think I found maybe one or two copies on the
year is
internet, but
that from?
1940. Let's see what year. Of course, there's no date. It's an Oxford press. Um, so
So
I'm
World War
guessing.
II era.
Yeah, in that period, it looks 40s. Yeah, as a matter of fact, is a little telltale
Yeah.
victory bond, so it is 40s. Little telltale piece there. So, and of course, during the World War II, there's the famous story of the British um, solving the Enigma machine, and was able to keep track of the German movement. Um, and then this one little thing caught my eye. So this is about blockade running during the Civil War.
Ah,
So again, a little off topic, Civil War related,
yeah.
a subject area you don't see. It's not a valuable book. I put $40 on it. It's published in 1967, but it's by a Captain Roberts, and it's blockade running from 1863 to 64.
And I believe Rhett Butler did a little bit of that.
You think he might have,
I
huh?
think he did.
And then one of the things I was really pleased to get, this is a big oversized piece. The cover is rather nondescript, but you've heard of this guy, I'm sure, Heath Robinson.
Yeah.
Well, he did this book on absurdities. So, and in fact, there's some wonderful paper falling out all over the place. Some wonderful illustrations throughout the book. It this I again one of those pieces I have
It
not
looks like a lot
seen.
of fun. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it and Heath Robinson is just a wonderful illustrator. But I have something else. I'm going to pick up my phone. So I have some pieces that I bought. These are posters. I'm thinking you can see that okay. So this is Maurice Sendak, The Magic Flute, Mozart's The Magic Flute, a book he did. And this is signed Sendak poster, which is rather unusual. And along the Sendak theme, I picked up this piece. this is from the early 80s, and it was for an exhibition in a limited edition, I think, of 500. And these are signed, this is signed. And because who's not going to like Mickey and Maurice Sendak on the
Right.
same? And then the other thing, which is really, really special, is this is a signed Chris Van Allsburg Polar Express poster. And this is large. This is like 2 feet long, I think, if not more. It may be more than 2 feet. As a matter of fact, it probably is as close to 30 inches, I think. I think you're seeing that okay. It, so those are my little finds. Let's see if this works. Get this back there. So that was kind of just an overview of the things I bought. The posters was the unusual thing. It was a last minute buy at the very end of the show.
Yeah, I really do like those posters. It's interesting how the Polar Express has found its place in the holiday. It's become almost as famous as, say, The Night Before Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
And has become movies and train
Well,
rides and
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, train rides all over the country. My
right, yeah,
hometown, my hometown in North Conway has a tourist train attraction,
yeah, yeah,
and during the winter they do Polar Express runs, and they serve hot chocolate, and the kids come. And if you don't get your reservation on the train by
right,
July, you don't get
right.
on. You know?
The Blue Ridge, which isn't but an hour or so from, or hour and a half from here, does that. But they do train rides year round. But
Yeah,
at between Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's what they do is Polar
yeah,
Express.
yeah.
Yeah.
And of
So
course, the nice thing in New Hampshire is we have these wonderful white
yes,
mountains,
no,
and we have snow, and it.
uh,
Well, sometimes we have snow,
yeah,
but
we
it.
don't have that. But
So
but
it's become a. I mean, and this is a 365 year operation in North Conway, and they got this huge, beautiful train station, the old fashioned train station.
yeah,
It's just, and they have a big assortment. They actually have a large collection of real trains of
yeah.
different engines, different cabooses, different passenger cars. It's quite amazing, actually.
Yeah, trains. My grandfather was a conductor on the Frisco line, and so I grew up riding trains. But it's been a long time since I've been on one. But there's just nothing like it. It's
Yeah,
just such a wonderful experience.
yeah,
Well, I don't have anything quite as exciting to show, but my son Gardner was at the show with me, and he knows that I like cookbooks and has found in the past some interesting ones for me. But what he found on this trip was this little Girl Scout cookbook. I was involved in Girl Scouting from the time I was a brownie in like 1951 or 52 through 1975. The last 7 years of that, I was actually an employee of two different Girl Scout councils. And in 1972, when this book was published, I was working for the Congaree Council in Columbia, South Carolina. But I never saw this cookbook. This cookbook, you think of Girl Scouts and cooking, you think of cooking over an open fire or maybe a grate, but you don't think about cooking in the kitchen. But this book is about cooking in the kitchen. And I never saw this. We were still cooking outdoors in 1972. In fact, we may have been behind the times. We were in the middle of asking permission from our board of directors to wear pants to work. So that kind of shows where we were in 1972. Even though National Scouting already had a pants official uniform for adults, we were still in skirts. But anyway, this is a fascinating little cookbook. It has recipes for things like artichokes. Now, I can't imagine on a Girl Scout event ever having artichokes. It has some recipes that look fairly familiar. However, salmon souffle is not one that looked familiar to me. It's hard to imagine in 1972 at a Girl Scout event making salmon souffle, but it's a really interesting book. And this is looks brand new, doesn't look like it's ever been read. Um, and it's an official Girl Scout publication. It was published by the Girl Scouts, and I'm sorry I didn't run across it sooner. But this is going to stay in my own collection probably. I just think it's a nice little piece. And so this is what I have to bring home from the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair. We did stop on the way down at a couple of antique malls, and I did pick up some things, including a nice copy, first edition copy of Florida Days, um, um, which is a fairly, well-known Florida tourism book, and a couple of signed Randy Wayne White mysteries, a couple of pirate books, since our theme was just, discover your treasure. And some of us actually dressed up as pirates while we were there.
Wasn't that exciting to see the kids and the adults?
It was,
And
and I had put gold coins all over my booth,
yeah.
and they were chocolate, of course, and the kids kept coming back and finding the chocolates. So most of those got eaten, I think.
Yeah.
Which was fun. And and some of the oops.
But you were here.
Okay. Some of the dealers really did dress the part. I know that Sandy Silverman did.
Oh, Sandy looked wonderful.
Yeah.
I tell you, over the top.
Yeah, mine was a little more subdued, but still, that was the idea. So, it's always a wonderful weekend.
Yeah.
I'm already registered for next year, and
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead.
When I first started doing the show in the early or late '90s, I actually won the door prize
Did you?
2 years in a row.
Oh my goodness!
And everybody got upset because my name got drawn 2 years in a row.
Oh,
Now, fast forward another 25 years. Do you think I've won since?
no, I've
No.
never won. Yeah, yeah, but I try. I do. And we stayed in a very nice Airbnb that was almost brand new, and I'm hoping to go ahead and book that for next year. Have that all taken care of. So,
Well,
what does the door prize include?
the door price is $50 off on your next year's booth. So and there's always it's drawn at the very end of the show from the dealers who register for next year. It's a nice little trick that Sarah pulls on us to get us to register.
Yeah, it is. It is. So
Yeah.
anyway, our congratulations to Sarah for how she handles it every year.
Oh,
We're looking
she
forward
was just
to Sarah's big news, which is in another few weeks, we're going to have another baby in that family.
Yep. But the family looked wonderful. Sarah was great. The show ran as smooth as always, even with the hiccup on with the bathrooms. That was a unique moment. I don't think I've ever experienced that one before. But
No, I don't think we have.
yeah.
So anyway, what have you got coming up soon?
Well, in a couple of weeks, actually, I'm going to be in Akron, Ohio, doing the book fair up in Akron. It's the 28th and 9th, I believe, is the date. It's Friday and Saturday, the last weekend of the month. And then, of course, the next week, I believe, is the New York Book Show, the ABA show in New York. I won't be setting up there, but I think I'm going to go down and visit it.
And spend money, probably.
Yeah, well, if I'm lucky, I can avoid that one. And then after that, I'm going to be in Binghamton, New York, for the antique show in Binghamton, which is always a fun event. And after that is the Allentown Paper Show at the end of April, and then there's the Washington D.C. show, put on by the Eve and Edward, which is held at private club in Washington, D.C., and it's just a beautiful experience. Can't ask for anything better.
Is
I
theirs going to
stayed
be in the same venue that it was last year?
Yes, yep. Yeah, it's going to be a little smaller this year. We're only going to have 20 dealers on the second floor. We were not able to use the first floor this year, but we were I think, real pleased to have that. And of course, then after the weekend, the week after that is Brimfield, which is going to keep me busy for the entire week. And then we go into June. June 1st is the show, and Alan can probably, I don't have the card in front of me, so Alan's going to put that up on the screen, I'm sure. And then 2 weeks after that is my new book show, or paper show, actually, we call it. It's Paper Town in Boxborough. It's 21st of June. And my summer just keeps going.
I'm sure you'll keep us informed with all of
Yeah.
these, and we'll
Oh,
look for.
I have a question for you, Lee. I had an experience that hadn't happened before. Did you have people come up to you during the show and say, I watch you on Rare Book Cafe?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was
Wasn't
just
that?
wonderful. We had one man who said he had seen every episode, who came by 2 or 3 times. But I had several people, and it was great. We're getting a following.
Yeah.
We have fans.
I had numerous people come up to
Yeah.
me and thank me for what we do and tell me how much they enjoyed it. And they still want to know who is that person that they every once in a while hear that they never see. But
That's behind that R,
behind, yeah.
And we were able to give out our new Rare Book Cafe business cards.
Yeah.
That Alan had gotten for us.
I'm sure Alan's going to show. I finally have a mug. I had to tackle Alan in the floor. I stole the mug he had in his hand.
We heard that commotion Friday night, I think, while you were wrestling him to the floor. Yes, well, we have slightly different ones. That's mine, and then I have the travel mug as well.
Oh my goodness! Oh geez! Next year, I'm hoping he's holding the travel mug. I'll really tackle him for that one.
Yeah, it's nice to have those, and I took the travel mug to the show with me so that I had it in the booth, all weekend. It's always one of the best weekends of the year. Just fun. But you're tired. I was really, really tired when I got home Monday night.
Oh, I can imagine. It's an arduous trip, actually. When you're traveling like that.
It is. Thinking back to when we first started doing the Florida show, which was around 2002 or about 2003, I think. There was no traffic. You would cross the Georgia line, and every mile there would be a Department of Transportation phone, so that if you had a wreck, you could walk to one of these phones to get help, because no one had cell phones, and those are all gone.
Yeah.
And now, of course, traffic is bumper to bumper, practically, and there's something at every exit. But back in those days, there were the places, there were the places that sold orange related tourist things, and places like Cafe Risque. Yes. Those were prolific exits headed down towards St. Petersburg.
I'm sure that's your favorite stop, right?
Well, that was so much fun. Actually, one year coming back, we stopped, and Bob had his picture made in his Florida shirt at some of those locations, just to show where we've been. So anyway, but it was a
great time this year, really,
and to see always. People that we only see on the screen the rest of the year. And I had one dealer who fussed at me because he had not been on Rare Book Cafe this year. I turned that over to Alan.
Okay. Well, in fact, I do want to also mention one, we had more dealers on the floor than we've had in some years, which was wonderful. The floor is as full as could make it, I think. And I noticed there were a lot of new dealers, especially from Florida,
Well,
but also from South Carolina and other places as well.
yeah, there were just so many people that we did not know.
Yep.
Which was great. And of course, there were a lot of the customer base has changed some too. We're getting a lot more younger people whose collecting needs are different, in many ways. And I think, at least on my part, it's going to require some adjustments. Though my son, who's been coming now with me for 4 years, is interested in putting his stamp on what we're doing. So
okay,
we'll
good.
see.
Well, he did spend some time in my booth.
He does. He loves your booth.
Yeah.
He loves your booth. He
Okay.
likes the fact that there's just all this stuff, just all this stuff. He bought a lot. He would come back to the booth with a big stack of books.
No kidding. Good for him.
Yeah. And some he buys because of the shows that the company he works for produces.
All right.
TV production company he works for. But yeah, he bought a fair amount of stuff.
Well, I saw a lot of packages going out the door. To get the security people at the doors were busy as could be, double checking, making sure that everything was legitimate, and we appreciate that too.
Yeah, I think sometimes the customers don't quite understand how important it is to us to have this security.
Yeah, especially on a floor that was busy as our floor is.
Right.
Because none of us can keep an eye on everything.
No, you can't. And with the booths mostly being corner booths now, and things being on two different sides, you really can't keep an eye on everything. And I know some people said, "Oh, people wouldn't just walk out with books, would they?" And I said, "Oh yeah, yeah, people would just walk out." So so we're pleased that we have that level of security.
Yeah. Well, I do want to just say before we close that I hope that those who watch will keep track of my whereabouts and ask where in the world is Richard.
Yeah.
And I actually am working on a new website. My brother's helping me, so we actually may get a calendar up for people to follow me.
Oh, well, that's good.
So that's a goal.
That's good.
That's a goal.
That's good.
So and of course we want everybody to follow Rare Book Cafe on all the podcasts, YouTube, Instagram. I don't know, where else are we? We must be someplace else.
Well, I think you can also download an audio only podcast.
Yeah. Oh, and we haven't reminded people there's a magazine people should be looking at too.
Right. And it will be coming out soon.
Yep.
I think that's what we're saying now.
I think it's on the calendar.
It's on the calendar.
Yes.
It's on the calendar. We also, while we've been focusing on the Florida Book Fair the last couple of months, we'll be expanding, the kind of shows that we have on Rare Book Cafe, and to include things other than what I'm bringing to the book fair.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
All right. Well,
thanks for being with us.
It's good to see you. It was good to see you at the fair. And it was great to see all the people who showed up, and we look forward to buying more books so that we can sell them to our wonderful customers.
That's right. That's right. So stay tuned, and thanks for being with us. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.